Ladies and gentlemen, today let us explore the fascinating intersection of physics, economics, and philosophy to understand why Bitcoin stands as a transformative force in the world of finance. We begin with the wisdom of Archimedes, who famously proclaimed, "Give me a place to stand and a lever long enough, and I will move the world." Archimedes was captivated by the lever's ability to amplify force through the power of a fulcrum. In this analogy, Bitcoin serves as the steel bridge, a solid and unyielding place to stand in the shifting sands of global finance. Traditional fiat currency, by contrast, is like a latex balloon, permeable, fragile, and prone to losing air over time. To better grasp the difference, let's compare the behavior of a balloon to that of an air compressor. Fiat currency balloon. Like a latex balloon, fiat currencies experience value leakage through inflation and monetary expansion. The microscopic pores in a balloon's surface allow air to diffuse out, a process analogous to the gradual erosion of purchasing power in fiat systems. Over time, a balloon deflates, just as fiat money loses its value. Bitcoin air compressor. By contrast, Bitcoin acts as an air compressor. Its fixed supply of 21 million coins creates a structure where demand is compressed into a finite system. Like compressed air stored in a tank, Bitcoin captures and holds value securely, amplifying its potential energy as adoption grows. Bitcoin also aligns with the principle of force multiplication. The steel bridge analogy highlights its foundational properties: decentralization, immutability, and scarcity. These traits form the place to stand, while the lever is the network effect that amplifies adoption and usage. Just as a lever allows small inputs to create monumental shifts, Bitcoin's design enables individuals to contribute to a system that can move the financial world. The gamma squeeze effect. Let us now bring in the concept of a gamma squeeze, a phenomenon where market dynamics amplify price movements. In the case of Bitcoin, its fixed supply creates a structural compression. As demand increases, the limited supply causes value to rise in a self-reinforcing cycle. Unlike a gamma squeeze in the stock market, often fleeting and speculative, Bitcoin's compression is grounded in its design. This is a system where scarcity and demand create compounding value over time. Dynamic versus static forces. Here lies the crux of our analogy. Fiat systems, dynamic but entropic. They inflate and deflate, driven by policies and external forces, much like a balloon gradually losing air. Bitcoin static in supply but dynamic in potential. Its compression mechanism creates an ever-increasing ability to store and transfer value, akin to the stored energy of compressed air waiting to power tools. Why Bitcoin matters? Bitcoin is not just a currency. It is a technological and economic evolution. It resists the value diffusion inherent in fiat systems. It leverages the principles of compression and scarcity to provide a store of value that grows more powerful as adoption increases. In this way, Bitcoin is both the lever and the fulcrum. It offers individuals and nations alike a place to stand, a steel bridge in a world of economic uncertainty. From this vantage point, the financial world can be moved towards a future of transparency, decentralization, and fairness. Let's dive into a detailed technical breakdown. Bitcoin compression versus the fiat balloon. Now, when we talk about the balloon system, we're essentially referring to fiat currency. All right, let's explore the mechanical properties of the balloon system, or fiat currency. First, there's material elasticity. Latex forms long, flexible molecular chains with crosslinks, enabling expansion and contraction. Then we have porosity. Microscopic gaps, typically around 1 millionth to 100 millionth of a meter, allow gas molecules to escape, leading to deflation over time. Finally, there's the diffusion rate, which is governed by Graham's law. This law explains why lighter gases like helium escape faster than heavier air molecules. Now, let's draw an economic parallel to the balloon system. Elasticity represents the flexibility of monetary policy, such as interest rate adjustments or quantitative easing. Porosity, on the other hand, represents the channels through which value leaks. This includes inflation from government spending and debt monetization, as well as fractional reserve banking practices. The diffusion rate reflects the rate of value loss. Historically, this has been around 2 to 3% annually in stable economies, but it can accelerate during crises like hyperinflation. The key insight here is that fiat systems are dynamic yet inherently unstable, and they require constant intervention to reinflate the metaphorical balloon. Now, let's consider the compressor system, which is Bitcoin. Mechanical properties fixed chamber volume represents Bitcoin's immutable supply of 21 million coins. Compression ratio pressure builds as more force or demand is applied to a fixed space, which is the supply. Boyle's law demonstrates how pressure or value density increases as volume or supply remains fixed. Energy storage encodes potential energy, which is analogous to Bitcoin's increasing utility as adoption grows. Economic parallel fixed supply, the 21 million cap, is equivalent to a fixed chamber volume. Network effect acts as a force multiplier, amplifying adoption like a mechanical advantage. Value density demand increases pressure or value in a finite space. Scarcity is predictable, driving compounding effects over time. The key insight here is that Bitcoin's compression mechanism ensures structural integrity and creates value amplification as adoption scales. Force multiplication, also known as the Archimedes principle, can be applied to understand Bitcoin's economic impact. In mechanical terms, it's all about how a small input force can be multiplied to produce a larger output force. Economically, we can see this in Bitcoin's protocol rules, particularly the 21 million cap. Here, the leverage point is Bitcoin's fixed supply. The force input comes from individual or institutional adoption. The force output, then, is the exponential network effects we observe. The advantage ratio is the system's ability to multiply individual contributions into systemic impact, much like how the growing value of the Bitcoin network works. The key insight here is that Bitcoin amplifies small-scale participation into large-scale value through its decentralized design. Let's compare pressure dynamics through the balloon versus compressor analogy. In a balloon system which represents fiat currency, the initial pressure decreases over time due to a leakage rate. This demonstrates the inevitable deflation without constant reinflation or intervention. On the other hand, in a compressor system which represents Bitcoin, a fixed volume ensures that pressure increases with adoption. Here, pressure is value density, proportional to demand within a fixed supply. The key insight is that fiat systems bleed value and require external support, whereas Bitcoin creates intrinsic value through its scarcity and adoption. The gamma squeeze analogy helps us understand Bitcoin's potential for rapid price increases. A gamma squeeze occurs in financial markets when self-reinforcing cycles drive rapid price increases. Bitcoin has this potential because as adoption grows, demand increases pressure within Bitcoin's fixed supply system, mimicking the rapid compression seen in gamma squeezes. Unlike traditional squeezes, Bitcoin's compression is structural and sustainable due to its 21 million cap and decentralized nature. The key comparison here is that fiat, like a balloon, is a deflating system requiring reinflation and is subject to diminishing returns. Bitcoin, like a compressor, is a self-reinforcing system where increased demand amplifies value, potentially leading to exponential growth. Now, let's look at some practical examples. The balloon effect in fiat currency highlights the collapse of purchasing power in hyperinflationary scenarios. In contrast, the compressor effect in Bitcoin demonstrates its increasing scarcity-driven value as adoption grows exponentially. This showcases how Bitcoin's value can continue to grow forever, driven by its unique economic design.